The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the name your price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The name your price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Slack is a new way to communicate with your team. Messaging that's faster, better organized, and more secure. Conversations happen in channels that are easy to create, join, and search. Try it for free at slack.com. Slack, where work happens.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what are you guys up to?
Oh, a little weed, you know.
It's the Weedsman Podcast Nugget.
Zippity what?
Ready to drop the bass? Let's drop the bass.
Whoop-de-doo. What does it all mean?
All the random stuff that didn't fit in Friday's show you'll find here.
Oh, okay.
Hey, man. You got a joint?
Got a little bit of refried smell on your boot?
What that mean?
Please, just give me like weed, all right?
I don't know about you, man, but I am fucking beat. This last week has kicked my goddamn ass. Both mentally and physically because they're linked, and because of recent events I've spent way too much time hunched over my phone doom scrolling, and like I totally wrecked my back on last Wednesday when the whole siege on the Capitol was going down, and it hasn't been right since. I mean, the news hasn't stopped since either. Well, yeah. Yeah, and it's, I don't know. I just need to, I can fix it. I just need to get back into the habit of exercising to keep my back strong, but...
It seems like my lower back's been on fire for like the last 3 months. It's because I sit 2 hours every day hunched over my laptop scrolling through Indeed and ZipRecruiter.
Yeah,
I hear you. Sitting hunched over is not good for your posture.
Yeah, but and just not really sleeping well, and I don't know, not being super productive. I felt like I had a good start to the year. Like I started incorporating some more habitual things that I wanted, making sure that I'm exercising more, like I was talking about. The normal shit of like practice more on work on music and stuff like that, and read a book, that's not illustrated. Nothing against illustrated fare, but don't forget about just the printed word. That can be beautiful too. And and also looking forward to I know the first 2 months of this year we knew were going to be kind of hectic and crazy, but I don't know. I was expecting shit like this to go down, but I guess I wasn't anticipating how much it would affect me negatively. Like I was seriously distraught. Like I knew that there was going to be, I figured there was going to be, isolated violence, not an actual getting into the Capitol. I don't understand why people have been distraught. Like capitalism's still running things. We're fine. Like I was telling Rich that if capitalism stops running things, I'll be worried. Yeah, no, I'm not distraught over the fact that I think that the infrastructure of my country is falling apart. I don't believe that. It's the partly just the I don't know. I mean, a lot of it is just image. Look, people died. I'm not trying to pave over that, but it was a total shit show. And it was just a lot of theater of I'll break a couple things and make my point, spear some shit on the wall. I mean, they didn't have a plan. I don't think they planned to get that far. I think that's what half the problem was. Yeah. Oh shit, we got past the guards. Now what? It seems to be kind of planned to a point, right? Like there were, I don't know, it seems like there were people involved with this that knew that they could put the right crazy people in the right situation and make something happen. But as far as anybody in that crowd with an actual mission and a plan, I mean, you can't even really fully convince me that the zip tie guy, he had the whole tactical gear on and the zip ties, and he had a gun on him, apparently. I don't know. It could have been a taser. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that kind of stuff.
He's allegedly ex-military.
Yeah, I mean, he had the capability. And even that guy, we didn't have him, like, actually capturing anyone or anything like that. So, no, I mean, I think we have to be careful with our language on this. Like, planned as in, like, Trump and others knew the possibility of this happening, and that was part of their plan, yes. But planned like deep state type of, if that was true and they were just using this as cover, they could have easily had some, specialized agents, quote unquote, that, would have plowed right through the policemen on duty there, And I think that's part of it. That's what's, it's not that the anxiety of like my country's falling apart. It's that the degree to which people with just a handful of lies and the right rhetoric can gum up the works of a democracy enough to even push it in that way. You want to believe that the system's just stronger than that. And ultimately it is. Like the good news is it was unsuccessful, right? And
yeah,
and
people on both sides say, like, is the guy in the fucking Viking helmet our new king? No, then it wasn't successful.
Right. But it's also one of those things where you don't want to totally blow it off. I mean, you can't just blow it off. Like, these people are out there, they're angry, and whether they're organized or not, there's going to be more violence.
But I also think it's dishonest to say, like, one person or one thing caused Wednesday. It would be like saying one person or one thing caused this last summer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still feel like, well, I don't know what you would charge them with. I feel like, or maybe it's not even about charge. I think there's Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Trump himself, his kids, particularly Junior. There should be consequences for these people because they had a hand in this.
I say, I'm with what's his name, Manchin. Like, fuck this impeachment shit. Let the fucking legal system, let him finish, and let the legal system have at him. Like.
Yeah, that's one of the things I haven't been able to get a clear. I'm obviously not a legal scholar, but I've heard from very respectable sources two different things, as to what impeachment will really mean, and basically it comes down to whatever process that you can do to make sure that he's nullified as much as possible, that he's not going to be able to run again in 2024. That's what I'm supporting. If impeachment or any of this stuff doesn't have any chance of doing that, then no, all you're doing is putting, I hate to say it, but you're putting more people's lives in danger.
Yep.
We're recording as they just voted to try and get Pence to remove Trump with the 25th, and he refused to do so.
Yeah, he's got to be. And he's not.
It's not
you think he's incapacitated. He has to be incapacitated. Like, a doctor has to make that call. Like, that's the thing I've seen a bunch of legal analysts say in the last week. Like, well, and he gets a chance to and the current sitting president gets a chance to say, nah, you can't do that. So he does get a chance to shoot it down. So,
right.
Gee, you think this guy's going to shoot it down?
Oh, yeah. Like, if we've learned anything, it's that there is no final straw. There is no breaking point. You know, there's no version of this Trump story where he reflects and goes, well, maybe I did some things wrong. Right? Not at any point.
Yeah, this is going to be the end of the fucking Grinch, where all of a sudden his heart gets 2 sizes too big. No!
Right. Yeah, I mean, even he had his quote-unquote concession speech where he said that there would be a peaceful transfer of power and that Joe Biden would be the next president, even though he stole the election.
And you have to go home now.
And then he immediately regretted that. And if he was on Twitter, I'm sure he would be saying as much.
But you know what what I'll say about that is all of the damage that the rift that was created between him and his people when they started, turning on him, calling him a pussy and all that, was healed when fucking social media turned him into a martyr. Because now all those people are right back on his side.
Yeah, I think that is yet to be determined.
He's a folk hero now.
I think I'm with you that that's a possibility, but I think that's something that you can't judge in the week after it happens. I'll ask you again in a year and we'll see how much of a folk hero Trump is. I don't know. But it's effective though, and only because Trump painted himself into this corner. People are talking about they're silencing the president, the guy who could message us through all of our phones through the emergency alert system. He could go on TV and everybody's going to put his whatever he has to say on TV. It's not like the president doesn't have a platform. He created a situation where his only real outlet for information was Twitter. So he fucked himself on that.
I'll agree with you there. Yeah. And I don't agree with everyone how it's not First Amendment. They're a private company. Nope. Now, if Joe Biden starts dictating who Twitter should and should, let have a voice, that's your First Amendment conversation.
Very interesting to hear from the libertarian crowd about how the government should make Twitter put the president back on their platform.
It's a company. It's not a utility. Now, what this
that's libertarians' idea of small government.
Yeah. Now, what this is definitely a Section 230 thing. Now you feel you have a responsibility? Right. That's what this is. Which is it? You have a responsibility or you don't? That's my question to him now. Because it ain't about words, it's about actions, right? Your actions pretty much nullified all your words. You are now saying that you do think you have a responsibility by making this call.
I'm 100% with you on that. Where I think that removing him from the platform was the right call, I wouldn't want to be working at Twitter right now and having to deal with the fallout from that decision.
And I wouldn't
and not just from the people who are going to be mad about you removing the president. The responsibility thing that you're talking about, you hit the nail on the head, man. They want to act like it's just a forum for people to express that we have no responsibility in any of this content. And then they found their line in the sand, apparently.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't have such rabbit ears about this. Well, for starters, A, we kind of run an internet company. And B, it was one of the sticking points of McConnell's stimulus deal, right?
Yeah.
Was everyone was clutching their pearl. It's going to change the way the internet is. We know it forever. To which I say, hey, is that a bad thing? Exhibit A last Wednesday.
Okay, so I'll actually defend Twitter on this one. Because I was on Twitter pretty much all day on Wednesday, following events, and seeing a lot of this stuff happen almost in real time, within hours after people, videos are getting recorded, they're out there. And a lot of information being shared from people who were at or near the event. I didn't share anything. I didn't retweet any of that because I don't know definitively if that's true. But most of the stuff that I was seeing from these Twitter feeds in near real time over the course of the last week, reading in the New York Times and other papers, all this stuff has been confirmed by multiple sources. And, this idea that Twitter somehow represents like disinformation is just wrong, because it's only what you make of it. Just, you cultivate a Twitter feed like you would, construct a Google search. If you search for garbage, you find garbage. If you follow shitty people, that's all you get is shitty takes on everything. And I've actually spent a lot of time weeding out idiots and looking for smart people to follow, and it was successful. Like, I felt like I was actually getting good information from Twitter. So just like anything, it's a tool.
No, I agree.
Google is a tool. Twitter is a tool. All of this software, all of this technology, all these things that we like to paint with the broad brush is like corrupting us. It's only because there's some of us that are using the tools wrong. A lot of us that are using the tools wrong.
But it's like most other things in our society, right? It's a bunch of idiots fucked it up for everything else, for everybody else. I mean, we have a lot of rules in society based on people who couldn't handle their shit. That statement, a bunch of idiots fucked it up for everyone else, should be framed and put in the offices of every Republican lawmaker. Right.
All across the country.
And tech companies at this point.
Yeah. Because, I don't necessarily want the Republican Party to go away. I mean, I don't even know what that means, because whether you call it a Republican Party or not, conservatives will have a party, right?
I think we're heading for 4 parties. I think there's going to be an extreme left party soon and an extreme right party soon. You can see that both sides are there's a splinter coming on both sides.
So the Democratic Party managed to pull their shit together to be pretty handily, but not like the total historic sweeping landslide that you would think a shitty candidate like Trump would, the results of a race against a shitty candidate like Trump would warrant. But they do manage to pull their shit together to beat the worst president in the history of this country, right? That's not going to last, right?
Yeah.
Especially now, actually, as much as having control of both the House and the Senate is good news for the Biden presidency, that is really bad news for the Democratic Party, because now everybody's going to want a piece of that party, and they're all going to decide to start steering the party in different directions. Yep. So I'm with you. If Georgia went the other way, if it went for the Republicans, the Democratic Party might have had a chance. The Republican Party doesn't have a chance at all. And not in the way that we know it now. It's either going to be a smaller party or something different. I don't know. I mean, either they let the Tea Party types take over their party, or they try and reclaim their name.
They're the exact same thing the Democrats are. The extremists are starting to become the loud minority.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know how long we've been a 2-party system, but I don't even know how we would run it. I mean, imagine if we had 4 parties, one of them's controlling the House, one of them's predominantly seated on the Supreme Court, another party is controlling the Senate, and a whole other party is controlling the House. I don't know how you would get anything done. Just imagine that.
Well, it would look like the last 10 years. Was it 2010s when the Democrats lost a majority of Congress? And it's been...
Yeah.
And it's for the last 10 years, it's been one's had one, one's had the other. So... And we switched presidents in those last 10 years, too, party-wise as well. So,
yeah. Democratic Party broke its own back trying to suck its own dick. And then McConnell just stepped on its back and said, well, this is an easy one to keep down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know we don't usually get into that side of politics on this show, but I don't know how you can ignore it. Like, either way you look, however you look at the events of the last week, like, I think shocking can still apply.
It is still funny.
Right?
I don't want to say funny is the wrong word. It's still fascinating to me to watch everybody juxtapose themselves. Like, once again, it's fun. It's just ironic what the reverence for police is all of a sudden coming out of some people that 6 months ago was like, okay, fine, whatever. But
Yeah,
the same,
yes
but the same
and no.
thing.
Like-
But the other side, the other side too. All of a sudden, oh, now you have a right to protest. Okay, like it's funny just watching people switch, like they did, like people did with the Supreme Court shit. I was telling Amanda yesterday. I also find it fascinating through at no point at any point in that process, nobody from either side stood up and went, "Hey, you notice how we've all switched sides?"
Yeah, and it doesn't faze them at all. Like, there's still conservatives out there talking about how over the course of last summer, cities, quote unquote, burned to the ground. Right? I mean, you all remember seeing that. We lost entire cities that just burned to the ground because of Antifa and BLM. And then in the next breath, talk about, the unruly, I don't know what you'd even call them. Like, they don't claim them as their own. They're like, this is not MAGA. This is not us.
Yeah.
They don't represent us. This is just, there's some Antifa guys got in there and some other idiots got in there and shit just got out of hand. Our people they all stayed outside and just peacefully, oh, come on.
Today I'm reading some people, not even centered left, people on the left talking about the rule of law. I'm like, wow. Just like, it's just, like I said, it's fascinating to watch, like, people just switch sides and not be conscious of it.
That's the thing. I was listening to, so David Reese was saying on election profiteers, or whatever they call election prediction makers, something like that, EPM. I forget what they have basically a podcast where they make bets, because you can bet on all these races on these online sites. And so they follow politics, but they also are betting on it. And he was talking about how, like, yeah, if some crazy politician got me to believe that shit that Donald Trump was saying was real, that they are literally, creating votes and destroying votes and fucking with the system and making your vote not count, basically, then he said, yeah, I'd go break someone. He's like, I wouldn't bash a cop with a fucking fire extinguisher, but I'd break some windows. I'd make a scene. I'd riot. So, I mean, well, that's why I believe that, obviously I believe that the people involved that entered the Capitol building, which, by the way, has its own Wi-Fi system, and y'all are tracked going in and out of there.
Yeah.
They know where you went in the building, not just that you were on the premise. Yeah. So, it's like those people, yeah, they should be held accountable for their violent actions, just like anybody should.
Yeah.
But to try and hold these people responsible for insurrection of some sort, I can't see that.
Well, to call it insurrection, doesn't it also have to be, I don't know, successful? Like,
no, you could be punished for an attempted, just like attempted murder. It's still a crime.
Fair.
Yeah, but the insurrection's more on the hands of these assholes like Hawley and Cruz and people who knew better and used these idiots to try and get their way. And that's why I think they should be held. I don't ultimately like I said, I don't know that you can. I don't know that you can draw that line well enough.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, especially too when it comes to the inciting violence, it's like, I mean, I understand, but at the same time, I don't want to live in a country where the standard in the court system becomes, we knew what you meant. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, right. Because the idea of, I mean, just saying fight, like, how often have we heard that in political rhetoric? I mean, it's just embedded into our language. We're going to go to Washington. We're going to fight. We're going to fight for our rights and we're going to fight for our freedoms. We want our politicians to go in there and fight for legal weed, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, at no point do we think that we don't want our leaders to literally pick up a flagpole and start bashing the Republicans over the head until they give in and vote for legal weed.
Yeah.
But what if our rhetoric was held against us in that way? Mm-hmm. I agree. Like, it's one of those things that you want to see people punished and you believe they did wrong, but you also want there to be a super high standard for the type of crime that's being prosecuted.
Yes.
Just like impeachment, right?
You know how I know it's going to be iffy is there's no quote. I mean, the one thing that, we can agree on is if there's even an alleged quote by him that the media can glom onto, they've done it. Right, well, grab him by the pussy, that was him on video, right? Suckers and losers.
Right. So what they ultimately get, they're going to round up all these idiots.
Shithole countries.
And it's going to look like the underpants gnomes plan, right? Like, president told me to do it. I went to the Capitol, question mark, get my country back. That question mark is like what's lacking there, right? In tying that directly back to.
Because I've read so much on this. There's the only quote I've seen, and I've seen it twice, is you'll never take our country back with weakness. If platitudes are now gonna, you know what I'm saying? If platitudes are a crime, we're in trouble. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're talking inciting violence, I mean that, and if that's going to be the standard, if we knew what you meant, it's going to be the standard. That's not cool.
I mean, not everything has to be a slippery slope, though. I think that we can decide that there's a higher standard for our politicians, right? Just like we try and keep our actual peacekeepers to a higher standard, or at least we should. Because they're taking on a big responsibility. And so are the people that we elect to office. So I don't think that necessarily saying that, a politician can't use possibly insightful language like fight for your rights or something like that. But I think it's possible to say that, to control that language from your politicians and not have it be the law of the land for anyone. I think you can have different standards based on people's positions, responsibilities. I mean,
I just think he did what he's done for 4 years. He's walked right up to the line. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't step over it.
See, I'm almost with you there. I think he walks right up to the line. He doesn't know what he's doing. He steps over it with a toe. He gets bit, and then he pulls back just on the line, right?
Yeah.
He's pushing but I don't think that. I mean, any part of this I guess more. If you're trying to convince me that any part of it is calculated in any way on Trump's side, no.
He's good at giving statements where you can take what you want from them. If you're on his side, you can take what you want from it. If you're against him, you can take He's really good at those kind of statements.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're against him,
at the same time, you'd have to be an idiot not to understand what he meant. Like, you can take away what you want, but only if you want to lie to yourself.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want that standard in the court system. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, no, but I'm saying you can put a different standard on it. You doesn't have to be in the courts for everyone. You can say, hey, I want my politicians to be this way. I want them to not take, private money or private corporation money. I want them to, this will never happen in this country. I want them to be held accountable if they spread lies, not even knowingly. Forget knowingly. If you spread lies, you're held accountable in real ways that involve, possible removal from office if you continue to spread lies.
I don't disagree with it, but I just caution to people on, not you, but the people on your side, like, because I know you're aware of this. Just remember, that's going to be the standard for everybody.
No, it doesn't have to be. That's what I'm saying. We don't have to. Not all laws are made to control all people, right? We have laws that just control and oversee the conduct of police officers.
No, I understand what I guess
right?
I'm saying. I'm just saying that, I guess what I'm saying is there might be a day where your guy is held to these same standards. So be careful at the standards you lay down. Like, yes, these laws will exist because the situation occurred where, yes, we've had to, I understand what you're saying. Right. We've had to make these laws, but I'm just...
Right, because, I mean, the fallacy in my thinking is that somebody owns the truth.
Yeah.
Right? You would have to agree on... I don't know what that would look like. You'd have to have, like, an overmind. Like, I don't know. You'd have to, like, create... Maybe, artificial intelligence, right? That's going to be the job of artificial intelligence. It will determine what the truth is for us.
Well, didn't we already,
which I think it would actually be really good at.
Have we already said isn't AI already racist, though?
Well, that's because AI is still young and its intelligence is modeled after our own, and we're stupid and racist in general. So, that's why AI is racist. When we actually develop real AI that can do self-learning, I'm sure it won't be racist, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't like thinking about this Minority Report future we're heading for.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm just I'm not speaking. I'm just kind of having some thought experiments here. I'm not trying. I haven't put together a future for America that I see. Like all the stuff
them before
that I'm
they become
about.
Criminals.
Yeah.
No, Hal, that's bad.
All of this is just idealistic talking. But honestly, I think it is possible to make people accountable, for leaders accountable for spreading lies.
Yeah, there's laws about doing it with people. Why isn't there laws about doing it with,
Yeah, no, right. I mean, look at Dominion. They sued fucking Sidney Powell for like an ungodly amount of money, and probably rightfully so.
Yeah, they probably got a good slander and libel.
Yeah.
At the same time.
I went after Sidney Powell, Lynn Wood, all these idiots.
Yeah, you can do it on the internet all you want, but you do it on a microphone hooked up to the airwaves, you're in trouble. And therein lies the problem.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
Slack is a new way to communicate with your team. It replaces email with something faster, better organized, and more secure. In a world where people could be anywhere, it becomes your office. Try it for free at slack.com. Slack, where work happens. Slack is a new way to communicate with your team. It replaces email with something faster, better organized, and more secure. Every conversation has its own channel that's easy to join, search, or create. And it's all integrated. You can attach info from thousands of apps, share files, make calls, everything you need to get your work done. Welcome to your new headquarters. Try it for free at slack.com. Slack, where work happens.
What can give you a competitive edge in today's red-hot housing market? Rocket can. That's because Rocket Mortgage can give you a verified approval. It could help your offer stand out, because when you find the perfect home, you don't want to lose it to anybody else. Rocket Technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers and their agents greater confidence in you. We've already helped over 1 million clients just like you reach their home financing goals this year alone. So remember this. What can help you buy the home you really want? Rocket can. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET. That's rocketmortgage.com or call 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on an underwriter's analysis of your individual financial information, appraisal, and title report. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Slack is a new way to communicate with your team. It replaces email with something faster, better organized, and more secure. In a world where people could be anywhere, it becomes your office. Try it for free at slack.com. Slack, where work happens.
ChristopherMedia.net. The Weedsman Podcast.
So with all the chaos outside and any chance of this pandemic lifting because we're all vaccinated, getting farther and farther off into the future, I've just been concentrating on making my home as cozy as possible. Getting ready to tuck in for another fucking year.
Oh, right.
I got myself a new iPad.
Ooh.
The first iPad that I've owned since the iPad 2 came out. So this is, what is this, 8th generation iPad? So I skipped over quite a bit, which is a testament to the hardware, because I still was using, I actually had 2 different similar model iPad 2s. One was kind of a hand-me-down, because you're like, oh, look, this shit's old as fuck. Like, I think they were just going to chuck it. And they weren't great, but I could use them for reading. I had some apps to control Ableton with that were pretty handy and fun, but they were on their last leg. And it just got to the point where I couldn't even get like updates for apps that were on those iPad 2s.
Oh yeah.
So I couldn't watch anything. I had none of the the HBO and Hulu and Netflix and all that. None of them worked.
Yeah, I can't watch. I mean, and I got an iPad 4. I got the last chunky iPad before they became thin. So I think mine's maybe 2 generations newer than yours. But yeah, I can't watch Netflix on mine. It sits there and it just stays in the booting up screen, in the logo screen. It never kicks over.
Yeah, I tried to download it and it just said nope, not compatible.
Wow. Your iPad said, "What's Netflix?"
So, yeah. My iPad was like, "You idiot, I can't accept DVDs." So, yeah, iPads they've been a hot commodity lately, and it was kind of hard to find. I was trying to get one on, say they had a sale over the holidays, and I was trying to get one on sale because it was a good deal, and everyone was out, and I kind of missed my window on that, and I actually ended up financing one from Xfinity just because they had the model that I wanted. At first I was like, no way am I going to do that shit, because there's a little bit of a markup on their stuff, and when you do that, it's not horrendous. But when I actually looked into it, part of their plan, it's so fucked up and hard to understand, like everything that Xfinity does. But if you get a device through them, you have to have it on their network, right? Mm-hmm. And that was another reason why I didn't want to go through them, because you have to get the model with the LTE on it, which is going to run you, I don't know, like 60, sometimes $100 more.
So they make you get the one where you got to pay. Wow, man, they're just good at separating people from their money.
Yeah, but wait,
there's more.
No, this actually works out in my favor. So even accounting for that, I had to buy like a model up from what I needed to get it financed, and that they wanted to charge me $10 per month for just having it on their service. It still worked out in my favor, because I don't know how this works or why they do this. Probably just to protect them from people buying an iPad and then cutting and running, canceling their service and not paying their bill on it, which I'm sure has happened to them on this stuff. So they have the $10 per month charge, but then it's subsidized. So there's actually a $12 credit that you have each month. But if you cancel your service, you got to pay all that. So it's basically a way for them to like super gouge you if you try and screw them over. But anyway, in the end, I sat down and did all the math on it, and backed out the credits and figured everything. I'm actually paying a little bit less than I would for this model And it's there's really nothing to lose. Unless the only thing that could happen is if I have to move again and I have to go someplace where I don't get Xfinity service. That might cause a problem.
Well, at this point, I don't know where the fuck you would move, but you wouldn't get Xfinity.
Yeah, this is Michigan. Like, there's a few places where WoW is really dug in, but they're far and few between now.
Fuck those places.
So I got the iPad, and I got a new clamp for it to put it on my mic stand, and I can just position it however I want for any kind of hands-free activities that you might want to do with an iPad. Oh. And but also, mostly honestly, it's reading, because I like reading with the iPad, comics and books, but actually holding the thing up is a pain. And I always end up leaning forward, and I strain my neck. So I put it on the mic stand, and I'm just a lazy fuck. I read in bed practically prone, and I just suspend the thing over my head. But it's the best thing for my back.
Well, that just sounds efficient to me.
Yeah. And I've got that whole corner of my bedroom all set up now too, because so I had a coworker gave me his old surround system, and I was using it as my bedroom system. And I have kind of a large bedroom because it's a converted attic. So I had on one side there's the main set of speakers, and I just threw the surround set up in the back over by my bed. But I figured out, I was taking a look at it, I'm like, I can just put these on different channels, and I can actually have zones in my room, right? So now I can watch TV or watch TV on an iPad. What does that even mean?
Right.
But I can watch entertainment on the iPad. I can AirPlay it to my stereo and just turn on the zone right by my bed and I just turn the speakers towards me, and I've got my own little
Man, you've got everything all worked out.
System. Yeah.
Technology great.
And not only that, but I got the updated, so I was telling you about the apps that I use to control Ableton. That was another reason why I wanted to get a newer generation iPad, because there was a whole new update to this that allows you to do all kinds of shit. And basically, I could make whole tracks on Ableton without even touching the computer. I can do it all just through the control app. Loading instruments and changing all the functions and all your routing, all of that shit. And it was only a $9 upgrade, but I had to get the new iPad to get it, right? So when I finally got the new iPad, I pulled the trigger on the upgrade on it, and then I routed my audio out from my music computer over to my stereo. So now I have a zone where I can shoot it over to. I'm like, you know what? I just want to make tracks in bed. Shoot it over to the bed zone, grab the iPad, and just fucking make tracks from there. Like, I can full on open up a MIDI track and draw the notes out with the pencil.
You'll be one of those people who's pissed when the world opens back up.
I know.
God damn it. All right, I'll leave.
I'm going to be one of those people that is like hissing at the sun.
Yeah, right.
When you have to go outside, boss, like, time to come back to the office. I'm like, I broke my leg.
Yeah.
I'm in an iron lung.
Yeah. I broke my leg in the iron lung. It's crazy.
Yes.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the name your price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Wendy's new classic chicken sandwich is now in the 2 for $5. And that's reason to celebrate. Try the new classic and then take your mouth on a victory lap with the iconic Dave's Single, the delicious spicy chicken sandwich, spicy or crispy 10-piece nuggets, or just get another classic chicken sandwich. Taste greatness today with Wendy's 2 for $5. We got you.
For a limited time, a la carte only. Price and participation may vary. U.S. Wendy's.
The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.